good afternoon, everybody. I'm Stephanie Dahl with Dahl Fisher, and we are your estate planning attorneys. We do estate planning, business law, and my partner Kelly does criminal defense. And as you know, we have a series of videos that are just Ask the Experts. And this today we have an awesome expert here for you to give you answers to all of your burning tax and accounting questions. So Kaleigh, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to just take a minute and introduce yourself and tell us about your company.
Sure. Hi. Thanks. I'm Kaleigh Canavan. I'm the president and owner of Canavan, Syddall and Associates. We are a full-service accounting firm in the Denver metro area, but we work with the entire country because it's 2020 and technology is awesome. So we do everything from payroll, bookkeeping, tax returns, tax planning for individuals as well as companies up to about $10 million in revenue and 100 employees, everything in between.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. I thought we maybe could start off talking about the most burning kind of questions that people are asking right now, I'm sure of you, which has everything to do with the SBA funding. So the PPP, the EIDL, and I'll just let you kind of talk because you're the expert on this, but I've heard people talking a lot about, you know, the EIDL, is that grant, is that income? The money I get, how do I track it? Do I need to track it? What can it be used for? All of those good questions. So what would you tell business owners who are getting funding through the PPP or the EIDL?
The first thing is know which one you got, because the PPP and the EIDL, the only thing that they seem to have in common is that they're both administered by the SBA, but they're wildly different in a lot of ways. So if you receive the EIDL, that is a loan, and it doesn't have as many restrictions as to what you can spend that loan funding on. It's basically anything that you need, any expense that you need to incur to keep your business operating and keep your head above water business-wise. You can use the EIDL funds for that. The PPP, which is the Payroll Protection Program, Paycheck Protection Program, that one is a lot more specific in that if you were a recipient of those funds, it can be forgiven. It's currently a loan, but at the end of the 8 weeks after you've funded, it can be forgiven if you've spent the funds properly. It has to be at least 75% payroll. And then there are some other qualifying expenses, such as you can pay the rent on your commercial space if you have it. You can pay interest on other loans, and that qualifies, but it must be mostly spent on payroll, and the qualified expenses have to occur within the 8 weeks that your loan gets funded.
Okay. All right. And what is best, you know, as business owners, we're great at running our business in terms of whatever we do, lawyers or chiropractors, or somebody makes a widget. We're great at what we do. Not always so great at the tracking and the everything else. And I think before we hopped on this recording, we were joking a little bit about the shoebox method in terms of tracking. What are you telling your clients in terms of tracking and how to, as much as they possibly can, ensure that they get the forgiveness?
Sure. So we are still waiting on direct guidance on how the forgiveness is going to be handled. However, if you are the type of business owner that you've been operating with a shoebox full of receipts, or maybe you're keeping a spreadsheet that tracks your expenses, it's probably time to go to something a little bit more sophisticated than that, because at the end of the 8-week period, your bank or the SBA is going to want some documentation as to how those PPP funds were spent. For most of our clients, we've set up class tracking within their QuickBooks. So basically any transaction that is related to the PPP coming in or expenses that are related to it, we've tagged it with a specific class so that we can pull a report that specifically shows what funds were spent on that sort of thing. And both QuickBooks Desktop and QuickBooks Online can do that if you guys are using that. But it may just be time to finally hire a professional accountant to handle those books for you at this time, because if you don't allocate it properly and you don't have the substantiation to show that you spent the money on qualified expenses, then the entire loan amount will convert to an actual loan and won't be forgiven.
Okay. And I think it is absolutely a plug for why Because the reality is most business owners don't enjoy doing the numbers piece of it. They don't enjoy entering and tracking and all that other stuff. So it is probably one of the first things that business owners should offload to somebody else to do, because then it gets done timely and it gets done correctly. And you can instantaneously pull reports. So just a plug for that as to why it's so important. But absolutely. So tell me a little bit about, with the, obviously, I'm going to shift gears a little bit, but we talked a little bit about the SBA, the tax deadlines that were going to be April 15th. I know that kind of happened in the midst of everything. So you guys were running full steam, I'm sure, to get everything filed. And then it sounds like they moved the tax deadline. So tell us a little bit about what's going on and what people need to be aware of.
Sure. So the tax filing deadline as well as the payment deadline has been moved to July 15th for your federal income taxes. Most states have also followed that. And so most of the states have also moved their deadline to July 15th for filing. This does not affect partnerships or S Corps. That deadline was still March 15th, and a timely extension should have been filed for that. And if it wasn't, you need to get that in as soon as you can. But any tax return that had a April 15th deadline now has a July 15th deadline, with the exception of just a few different states.
Okay. And what about, like, if business owners make quarterly payments or people make quarterly payments, was that deadline pushed? Are they going to have both April and I think July, right? The July those quarterly payments both due in July? What's happening?
So they moved the April 15th estimated quarterly deadline to July 15th, but they did not move the June 15th deadline. So now if you make quarterly estimates, those timely estimates need to be made one payment in June and one payment in July. So I'm encouraging my clients, if they had the funds set aside to make that timely payment in April, probably more palatable to just make that payment now as opposed to having to make it 2 months in a row.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Perfect. What other questions have come up for you from either your personal clients or your business clients? Because I know you work with both.
There's a lot of people asking questions about unemployment, which again is varying quite a bit from state to state, but at least here in Colorado, a lot of expansions have happened to unemployment that if you were self-employed in the past, then you weren't necessarily eligible to claim unemployment, and that is not true currently. So if you are self-employed, if you're an independent contractor, if you receive 1099s, then you still have the opportunity to file for unemployment under these expanded pandemic unemployment provisions. So there's a lot of questions about that, but I would say if you are in a position that you're being financially strained by this situation, then go ahead and apply for unemployment because you may be eligible for some. And if you're eligible for some state unemployment at all, then you basically automatically get the extra $600 federal unemployment on top for the, I believe it's 13 weeks that they've expanded that.
Okay. All right. Well, that's really good to know, because I do know that forever it was if you're self-employed or you own your business or anything else, that's too bad, so sad, you don't get anything. So yep. That's great to know. Any other questions coming up for you that you've heard a lot about?
I think we touched on most of them. It's a lot about when the tax deadline is and what's happening with unemployment, as well as the SBA funds. So those are a big hot button issue. And the second round of funding for the PPP loan seems like it's going a lot smoother than the first round did. So we're actually seeing a lot of our clients are receiving those funds, which is great.
That's wonderful. And I can speak, we have clients that we work with together, and obviously you and your team are amazing and you do such great work for everyone. But if you can, I know you gave us a little bit spiel at the very beginning about what you guys do, but if you want to just expand a little bit on what you all do and how you help your clients, that would be great.
Sure. Yeah. So we have clients that work with us year round. I believe that a good accountant is more than just a once a year conversation that you just don't throw your docs at me, say, here's my tax stuff, go Broncos, see you next year. So we like to work proactively with our clients. For solopreneurs, it may be that we're doing quarterly consulting and running payroll for them and light bookkeeping. And then for others, we do full on kind of back of house management that we negotiate their deals for them. We pay their vendors. We invoice their customers. We're basically the complete outsourced accounting department for them. We have 7 full-time employees here with a little over 100 years combined experience. So it makes us a really good solution for a company that might be thinking that they want to bring on a full-time accountant, because we've got more knowledge depth, if you will. One of us has encountered just about everything before. And for a lot of business owners, they don't know how to manage an accountant. So hiring one person in-house that they don't know how to supervise doesn't make as much sense as outsourcing. So that's where we come in, is that we offer the full kit and caboodle.
Absolutely. Well, and you outsource not only just that accounting piece, but so many more pieces that go along with it that you probably wouldn't get bringing somebody in-house. So that's awesome. Well, Kaleigh, thank you so much for being here. If people are looking to switch accountants, to hire an accountant finally, they're like, now is the time, I can't do this anymore. How do they get a hold of you? And we'll also post this in the comments below, but how would they get a hold of you?
Awesome. So our website is csaaccounting.com. And you can reach us there, or our phone number is 303-284-1096. And we are still answering the phone, normal business hours, and that number is text enabled as well if people prefer that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time today.
Yeah,
and
thanks for
I will
having
look
me.
forward to working with you soon.
Yeah, we'll talk soon. Stay safe, everybody.
Thanks. Bye-bye.